Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sikich Live. Today we're talking all things CRM for manufacturers, and every single last Thursday of the month is going to be specific to all of our manufacturing live attendees out there. So look out for all of those great sessions that we'll have at the end of each month for manufacturers. Sikich experts Debbie Altham and Joel Hatton will join us in a minute. But before we get to that, I would be remiss not to mention to like and subscribe so that you get all of these notifications when Sikich goes live on Tuesdays and Thursdays each week with new and exciting topics about ERP, IT, managed services, security, CRM, and so much more. Don't be shy on Sikich Live. I've said this before, but I want to repeat myself. If you're in the chat right now, ask a question about something that you want to know. That's why we're here. That's why we're live. Today's Sikich Live is going to be a little bit different, so I'm taking a little bit of a break from the typical Q&A. And Debbie and Joel, who I mentioned before, are Sikich experts here for CRM for manufacturers, will go into more details about specific case studies on manufacturers that have implemented Microsoft Dynamics Customer Engagement, also known as Microsoft Dynamics CE. Debbie and Joel, welcome back to Sikich Live.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
Yeah,
hey, Michael.
To have you. Yes, of course. Before we get started, if you want to give a quick 10-second pitch about yourself, that'd be great. Debbie?
Hi there, everybody. Debbie Altham. I'm in the Sikich Enterprise team. Spend a lot of time working on industry, and that's me. Joel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joel Hatton. I'm a pre-sales solution architect, so I work real close with the Debbie and the team, as well as with our delivery team, making sure that what we're talking about to our customers and prospects are things that we can actually realize through the course of a deployment.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for being back here. I'm going to leave it off to you guys to get started. I know, Debbie, you've got some interesting case studies to share with us about CRM for manufacturers. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Thank you, Michael. So I'm really pleased I've got Joel in a spot. He can't move. The camera is on him, and I'm going to hit him with some questions. So, Joel, as you know, at Sikich, we work with a lot of manufacturers. We do discrete manufacturing and a lot of industrial equipment manufacturing. So I've got a really big question for you.
Sure.
Manufacturers, why do they even need a CRM? Now, before you start, a manufacturer might have 300 customers. We've only got 300 customers. Our sales reps have been working with them for 10, 15, 20 years. They go fishing with them. They've owned our equipment for years and years and years. It's a really technical sales process. The sellers are technical sellers. They've got engineering backgrounds. Why do they need a CRM system?
Yeah, Debbie, that's a great question, and I feel like you're kind of describing every prospect we're working with lately. It really comes down to one word, which is visibility. Leadership is looking for a better understanding of where opportunities are in the sales process. What are the activities that are going along with that engagement that support the sales effort? Now, you made a really valid point of that long-term relationship and the ability to go fishing and hang out with your customers. And in this new world of COVID, that's not happening. And a lot of these sales managers are saying, well, you know what? I've got a bunch of guys that have been in this role for 25 to 40 years. They're a bit older in their sales career, and I know at some point they're going to be moving on. So when they leave, all of that knowledge, all of that relationship, all of that content around that customer and that bond is going to be very expensive to duplicate and rebuild. So what's a quick way that I can get visibility into what's going on in those conversations? So by looking at CRM as a tool to drive some of that, it can help sales management get better visibility into those relationships.
So Joel, here's the problem I have with this, right? You're talking about capturing 30, 40, 50 years of knowledge out of someone as well as the friendships and all the rest, and putting it in a computer. So I'm interested in that. And the next thing, how does the sales manager even get these people to work with the system? How does he get them to open up a computer and type all this stuff in, even if they could transfer it into a piece of software?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because there's one client in particular that we were working with where you typically you talk about converting them off of one system and onto another, and their system was Excel spreadsheets and Franklin planners, and that's all of the content that was around that particular customer was literally in that sales rep's possession, in their mind or in their Excel spreadsheets. So, to get them to use a new system, you really have to adopt a crawl, walk, run approach. Coming out of the gate with all of this really cool AI technology and all of this really cool advanced selling techniques aren't going to help these types of sellers right away. What's important to these types of sellers are, how can I organize my day? How do I know what I'm missing? How do I know how to sell to my customers better? So at the end of the day, I'm able to, comfortably sell and sell more. So giving them a system that helps them manage their activity, helps them consolidate their client communications, and starts to help suggest things that their customers may be interested in is important. And then, just to add to that is bringing in all of the mission critical information around that customer's sales journey, right? So it's not just a relationship, but what have they bought over those 25 years with me? And looking at that information and looking at it in a visualized fashion to see, hey, my products are starting to dip. What's going on with that customer? For a lot of guys that don't have access to that type of information, they find out about major customer dips and misses when it's really, really too late. So it's important to give them tools that will entice them into the system, that will allow them to do their jobs more effectively and not be a big brother, collect activity around me and let's go.
Well, so that's a worry, right? Because, if someone's telling me to write down everything about my job, what are they doing? They're backing me up. What, is that not just a little bit asking too much? Oh, if I tell them everything, then where does my control go as an employer,
Yeah, so that's a really valid point, but at the end of the day, you're not backing up everything, right? What you're backing up is the interactions that are happening from a transactional perspective through the actual sales process, right? So what have we sold? What have we quoted? What's the history of that? You're asking them to log in their notes, which were typically in a notebook that kind of sit off to the side. So take those notebooks and make it part of a living record. You're also asking them to maybe follow a process that you've mapped out to sell. Now, what you're doing is you're taking what they do on a normal basis anyway, and you're just digitizing it into a platform that allows them to consolidate it and make it simple. Now, the upside of that is managers get visibility into the pipeline quicker. They can drill into those opportunities and find out exactly where you are in the process and what's the next step that you have to go through. So in my world, by doing that, I can get management what they need and kind of get them off my back. So now I can go and fish with my buddy who I've been selling to for the last 50 years. So it's a little bit of give and take, but I think the give needs to be a bit more important to sales users in order to get them to embrace the technology and to get them to ask for more, which is important. So, one client in particular I'm thinking of, they get a sales report of, everything that was quoted and sold, at the end of the month. And for them, it's like, okay, they call it a paycheck surprise. How much did my customers buy? And, now I'm reacting to that. You can digitize that, make it real time. So every morning they're logging into a dashboard to see all of that data. That's great for them. They know what they can bank on. They know what customers they need to work harder with. So, by taking stuff that's usually pushed off to the side and not, given access to, and make it front and center so they can do their jobs better, that's really what these guys are looking for.
So you're talking integration, right? So, isn't that really expensive? I mean, if you've got, ERP systems typically have all of the sales data, they have all that stuff in there. Why are you wanting to put it in a separate system? How does that work? It sounds expensive.
Well, so a couple of things, right? I mean, obviously with the Microsoft technology, we've had these conversations with every client that we're engaging with, and even the prospects we're engaging with. The question really comes down to, is it mission critical information that you really need to integrate to, or are there better ways? And when I'm talking about better ways, I'm talking about this, kind of new philosophy for sharing information from other systems. And it's taking data that might sit in a data lake or in a repository off of the side where I've got all of my sales history for the last 25 years, bring that into a CRM system to fill a list view of transactional level information is mind-boggling. And honestly, at the end of the day, there's not a lot a seller is going to use with that. But if I take that information, turn it into a Power BI dashboard or some type of really responsive visualization, I can now take all that information into a CRM system and say, here's what my customers bought for the last 25 years. Here's all the different product lines, and I can click on each product line and see the ups and downs that are happening. So it's really responsive, it's real time, and that and the cost to take a Power BI report and bring it in at a customer level is, we're talking, hours to days versus integrations, which traditionally in the past, you're looking at, ERP systems that might not have the latest and greatest technology. You could be talking weeks to, several weeks to integrate. So, and I like the idea of having charts and graphs and being able to click on information and see it move around. That to me tells a story versus just looking at a big Excel spreadsheet worth of data that's sitting inside an account view.
So, you've talked a lot about why it's really good for the organization to see what the sellers are doing. But, I'm a seller. I'm pretty good at remembering. I've got my trusty little notebook here. What else can the CRM system do for me as the seller? How does this make me a better seller for the people I already know?
Yeah, so a couple of things, right? So certainly when working in the manufacturing space, you do have your notebook, right? So take those and start using some of the Microsoft technology that you're already accustomed to, right? So start using OneNote to capture those meeting notes and attach it to an opportunity or to the account record, so everyone across the organization can have visibility to that. Take the the engagement that you're working on, specifically in the manufacturing space, where you've got really long sales cycles. Day one that you're going to have to involve engineering, you're going to have to involve sales, you're going to have to get leadership involved, you're going to have to get product management involved, and finance in some cases. So how do you collaborate around all of that? And how do you do that in today's world when everybody's remote and potentially scattered all throughout the world? So by using another Microsoft technology like Teams, you can collaborate on that opportunity and start sharing out meetings and sharing out chat and conversations and documents in order to really get around what you need to do from a sales perspective to manage and better quarterback that sales engagement to get that thing through the pipeline quicker and faster, which is really an end result.
So the other thing for the sellers, and I'm thinking about what CRM means to me or to a seller, and it's the thing that I think is it needs to be really, really easy to use, right? It needs to be a natural part of my daily rhythm. What sort of things does Microsoft CRM do to help me be familiar? Have I got like months of training? What does that look like in terms of making it really quick and easy? I mean, I buy an app. I don't need training on how to use these apps, right? It's intuitive, it's self-explanatory. If I need training, I don't want the app.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very valid, question, right? So, we take that crawl, walk, run approach specifically with the manufacturing space because it's important to make sure you're driving adoption and enablement right away. And a big part of that is every CRM system, is a monster. There's a lot of functionality that can deliver day one that includes a mountain of functionality that, from, artificial intelligence to augmented reality to, all those other really cool things that are out there today. But again, going back to your comment, how do I get those sellers kind of hooked and engaged? And it's really doing a crawl approach, right? Create a really scaled down version of what management needs to see from a visibility perspective day one. And usually that means I want an activity management system, and I want the ability to create, opportunities, and I want my guys to see, their sales history over time and the trends that are happening there. I don't want to log them down with, filling out all this white space and entering in all this information. Make it simple, make it easy to use, make it responsive. Now, take it a step further. You made that point, right? If I'm familiar with existing Microsoft technology and layouts, I should be able to access that information from inside of Outlook. So side by side in my email, I can see information that's going on about the customers I'm interacting with. Flip that over to the phone. On my phone, I want to be able to go ahead and start to use that right away. The look and feel from whether I'm in Outlook using the CRM solution, whether I'm in a browser, or I'm on my phone or tablet device. It's one experience across multiple platforms, and it's really easy to consume and digest and to use and to be successful day one. So as a seller, I'm walking in the door to meet with my customer. There might be other people in my office speaking to that customer. I can look on my phone real quick, see the interactions that are going on, and know exactly what I'm walking into day one. And that's a powerful tool that sellers can have in their pocket.
So this all sounds really cool, right? If it's easy for me to use, helps me keep track of where I'm at, and then helps me look at, what's been successful and what hasn't. But speaking of success, and I do a quick Bing, and what I find is statistics, like people like Gartner are saying CRM projects fail at a rate of between 50, reported at 50%, but actually it may be closer to 70%. CRM rollouts fail. I mean, it's hard enough as it is. Manufacturers need to get to a point where they think it's even going to be valuable. And I think you've made a good argument for reasons why manufacturers might want to look at a CRM system. But, what are they walking into here? And why are these statistics? Why do these statistics exist?
It's a great point, and I can tell you it comes down to one thing. And I think the statistic is around 50 to 70% of traditional CRM projects fail, and it fails for a couple of different reasons. It certainly fails because it's not being adopted. And why is it not being adopted? Well, most of the time it's over-engineered, right? You go down this road of customization versus configuration. And the difference is I'm touching code on the customization side, but on the configuration side, I'm using the standard tools that come available with that application to make changes so I can tweak things to make it usable for my team. Now, our approach internally at Sikich is to take it a step further, and we've got a head start version of the application that starts it off even simpler, meaning here's a real bare bones deployment that gives you all the things that our customers have told us they needed to see day one inside the application to make it successful. Now, other ways it fails is besides over engineering is, you don't have the leadership behind it, right? So, if the project is really, the CIO of the organization is all behind it, but the vice president of sales hasn't been involved in any of the discussions, what's the likelihood of the sales team being involved in embracing a product if you don't have that executive leadership at the top involved? So I think that's critical as well. The other piece of it, I think that our team does extremely well is we communicate to the point where we're almost over communicating on what we're doing and how we're rolling out the system, and we're doing that as an effort to not only train the end users at the client, but what's coming and get them engaged and involved and excited. But we're also starting to quietly build those internal subject matter experts and champions that, when you're done with the project, they're there, they're loving it, they're asking for more and more features. So it's kind of three-pronged approach with us internally to avoid those pitfalls. And as a result, our projects are pretty successful.
Hey, so I think, Joel, you answered my question. I sort of understand why a manufacturer might want to look at buying a CRM. You've talked about how it can be reasonably easy to use, which is really important for people. I love the idea of all that data and analytics and graphical stuff. Keeps the manager off my back, right? I'm not always consistently taking calls at 9 o'clock at night saying, where am I at with a deal? Tell him to look for himself, right? So yeah, lots and lots and lots of advantages. In terms of engaging with Sikich on a CRM, what's the first step?
So yeah, the first step is calling you, Debbie, right? So
or Michael or Joel.
Yeah. So the first step is absolutely, reach out. I think, one of the things that we're going to want to do is really understand, what the requirements are for your project. What are some of the things that you're looking to do? But I typically want to try to take it a step further, and I want to understand how you, as an organization, are looking to measure the success of this project. It's not just getting, people to to go ahead and implement the product and it's live and running day one, but is it reducing the time it takes to produce a quote? Is it getting a better consolidated view of a pipeline that's actionable? Is it sending my sellers information that's important for them to do their job? So those kind of tangible pieces are important for us to really understand. So I would say the first thing to do is reach out, and then let's start talking about what your requirements are. And then we do a great job of educating you on what the application can really do. From the top of the funnel, here's everything, but down to really what you need now. But you've got to make sure that you're always looking back up to what Microsoft has invested in this product, because over time, that's where you want to be, at the top of that funnel.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, Michael, you're back.
I'm back. Can you believe it? Thanks so much, Debbie and Joel. Really appreciate it. I know we had one comment come in, and I think it was relating to the reasons why these CRM implementations sometimes fail. What about user experience?
Yeah, that's
the user using it, right? I mean, they're coming back to their management and saying,
what I'm asking for. Make it easy for me, or I'm not going to go anywhere near it.
Right. Yeah, that's so. And Michael, that's really coming from what you typically see is that over engineering. So I that's kind of what I was referring to, right? So you sit down with sales leadership and you over design a CRM system that an end user who is successful today selling on paper and Excel spreadsheets are looking at that saying, you guys are nuts, you're off your rocker, I'm never using that. Mm-hmm. So that question that came in was perfect. That's exactly correct.
Absolutely. It's great to have those end user ambassadors within that company that can help champion the implementation and the process of putting that together, and help executive and management understand, hey, this is what we need. It may not be exactly what you need, but we need that type of user experience. So thanks for that comment that we had in there. Appreciate it. Well, Debbie and Joel, thanks so much for doing this live Sikich Live takeover today. Really appreciate it. And talking to us about why CRM is so important and the best ways to implement so that it's a successful implementation. Of course, at Sikich, that's what we want. We want these to be successful for you, and that's what we pride ourselves on. So thanks again. Don't forget, I know I say this every time, like and subscribe, sign up for our notifications. We will be here every Thursday to talk to you about anything digital transformation. Glad you could be here. Thanks again, Debbie and Joel, and we'll see you guys all next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.